May the 4th be with you. I'm Daniel, the iJungle Boy from Too Sick Internet Solutions. We're the makers of Too Sexy. And with our new 13 release, we've really created some awesome stuff with images, which most of you might not even know exist. And we didn't just make it possible, we made it really, really easy. So I'm really excited that I can show you this today. And just to start, I'm going to start right away with a brief demo so you have some ideas of what we're talking about. Let's go to this window here where I'm showing a piece of content showing a small image. You can see here in the bar here that it's been preloaded with width of 300 pixels. Now, it's because it's a small device, it doesn't need a bigger image, but as I increase the size of the display, you can see that it starts loading larger and larger images. Now we're at a bigger size, and as we keep going, you can see this is now the small one, but the ones down here will very soon need much larger ones still. And you can see the list increasing with images that were loaded. If we go back here, you can see we've now loaded 600, 800, 700. And this happens fully automatically. If I would go full screen, we should be seeing even larger dimensions being loaded here in the background. So what's happening here is that we've prepared a system that you can tell the browser all kinds of image sizes, and a lot more, by the way, fully automatically. And that's what I'm going to show you now. So what is it about? Images should be just perfect. And images are so important on websites, but most web designers don't even know what we're talking about here. So there should be different sizes for different layouts. And the web developer shouldn't need to spend time to get this to work. It should just be fully automatic, but still have the option to configure things any way you want to. Because maybe you're using Bootstrap with 1400 pixels, maybe you're using Tailwind with a different resolution, and you have different expectations. And this should all be configurable as easy and as possible. Plus, if you have custom needs, you can do something. So that's what we did. We got some really big pages with a lot of pictures to get 97 points on Google PageSpeed, thanks to these features. And basically what's happening is this. I'm going to show you some code in a moment, but let me show you this. No, I'll show it to you in a second. We have a system to automatically generate image and picture tags in a way where it will tell the browser that I have 7 different sizes for this, for example, and it will also do a lot of other optimizations, like set the width and height of the image, because that's very important for page speed, because as a mobile device, for example, wants to render the page, the sooner it has an idea of how big the picture is going to be, the faster it's going to react. So these are things that are really important, and it's all just by default. Let me show you a little bit more of how this works. The first feature, by the way, that I'd like to tell you about is not even related to the sizes, but it's actually the ability to say which part of the picture you want. Now, you might have had this before. You have a nice area, maybe like this, for a picture. The content editor puts a tall picture inside, and the middle is not the important part. Previously, it was very hard to get the user to get the right picture in there because the editor was usually not so versed in these things. But now, if you have a quick peek here, we have new field settings where the editor will be able to just say, oh no, my important bit is on top or at the bottom or something. And you can see here's a variation without the setting. Here's a variation with the setting, the picture moved up, everything's perfect. And the editor can now do this by themselves. So this is the first thing. There's a UI now on every image upload field that can be used for this, but it's not active by default because your template must respect this in generating the link. But I'll show you in a second how that works. Very easy. Then the second thing is, how do I tell the browser that I have many sizes? So basically, this has been a standard in browsers for many years. There's a way to tell the browser with this resolution or this pixel density or this size, here's what you get. And we fully automated this, so maybe you can see here on the screen, here's an image service.image, which just takes a URL and generates everything by itself. There's also a picture version for that, which can possibly generate WebP and JPEG at the same time and provide the best image format for the browser, what the browser expects. We also plan to support more modern versions like HEIC or something, but that will take another few months until that's ready. But this is really going to boost your page speed. The way it's done, by the way, is that most of it is just a configuration. So you can, in your app or your site or on the global level, configure what you want. We have some presets that are really good, we believe, and we're going to improve the presets as time goes on. And the presets will also detect which CSS framework you're using and give you different default sizes, different variations of each size based on what we think is best. But you can customize it any way you want. And by setting it at the site level, you don't have to touch every app again, because all apps will inherit those settings and it will just work. So this will make your life really, really easy. What else do you need to know? Well, again, our main focus is to get this to work with configuration, because we think that's going to be like the 95% case. Normally, you will have a configuration called content. So that's like the default one where you're going to say, well, my pictures are always 16:9 or they're always square or something. There's also screen sized presets, there's lightbox presets and section presets, which are all for different use cases. And you can make your own. I'll show you in a moment how to do that. And in code, we've made the whole API. You'll usually start with the image service. There you can create custom settings, recipes for the variants, combine them. But most of the time, you're just going to say .picture or .image, and things will just work. In cases where you want a lot more control, you can also get that picture object and then just take the parts that you like and build something else. So it's really, really powerful, and it's fully automatic, but you can customize it any way you need. So you've already seen a brief example of the content app. What I would like to show you now, just so you have an idea, is what the code looks like. So basically, here's an example, image service, picture. We're going to get this field image. We're going to use the settings content, and we're going to use a factor, which is like half picture, full picture or something. But basically, just this part would do everything that you need. That's it. And you'll get your 7 sizes, and possibly other image formats. The heights will be perfect. You'll get the best page speed possible with this, all just by default. Note that things like settings content, you can skip this because content is default, but we like to add it in our template code so you know what's happening. The factor is optional, but that's because very often you want smaller pictures. But that's it. It's that simple. And I'll show you more in a second. Now let's look at one extra use case over here. Here's a use case where we have a special picture which has a size that's not typical. Like our content usually has our 16:9 in this case, and this of course is not that size. It's also not so big. So what you can always do is go into your app settings. This is here through this button. I'm just going to put it on a new window. And now you can go to the system settings, to the image section, and make your own definition. You'll notice the content is not listed here, but that's because that's currently configured at the site level or global or preset, so there is no override here. You could do that, but you don't need to, and you don't want to. But let's look at the person photo configuration, and you can see this is 155 pixels by default. We're going to, of course, also give bigger pictures for high-resolution devices. We always want it square, and the recipe says we have a variant that is either twice as large or as large as we just had it, a little bit smaller, or even a little bit smaller. We're going to automatically add loading lazy, because that's the way you should do it, and we're going to automatically add different rules for sizes in the browser, again, so the browser is much faster at detecting which pictures to load and how to scale the things on the screen. That's basically it. It's really easy. So if you want to know more, and I do pray that you will, the content templates we just released for 2Sexy 13.10 already use all of these best practices. They're a great place to start. Otherwise, do check out our tutorials. We've created an entire section in the images with all examples and different ideas. And we've created a special guide for you in our documentation, because we think you will best start there. There's so much to know and so little knowledge out there. But with this, you're going to be creating blazingly fast pages with wonderful pictures in no time. There's one caveat I need to tell you. We have just started to create TwoSick patrons, which is basically like Patreons for YouTube channels. Our philosophy is that everything that's important will be free and available for everybody. But there will be some like premium on top features which are going to be patrons only, because if they support us, they can also get some extra goodies to make their life even easier and better. The two things that are custom to patrons are really edge cases which only perfectionists care about. Most web designers don't even care about providing multiple images, but this one is the feature that any JPEG, for example, will be delivered in 4 formats, but also you'll get like 4 WebP formats for that extra edge. The other one is that you can give more pixel perfect rules for certain factors. So if you're saying the image is going to be like 75% of my screen, and in that case it shouldn't calculate it to 75%, it should maybe take exactly 745 pixels. That is because there are some edge cases where factors with margins between the columns don't match. If you don't understand this, don't worry, because you probably don't care. If you did understand it and were like, gosh, yes, I was been waiting for that, check it out. Do become a patron. We'd really appreciate it if you'd help us push this project forward, and we're grateful for everybody that supports us. Well, I guess that was it for today. Happy May the 4th. Thank you for watching. This is Daniel Mettler, TwoSick Internet Solutions for DNN, Oqtane, and the TwoSexy community.